So most golfers really struggle with the swing. And they see that horrible left to right shape, not really going anywhere. And we can see the numbers on TrackMan there, massively out to in. Just nothing good about that whatsoever. Now, what if I were to tell you there was a golf book written in 1957 by Ben Hogan, one of the true legends of the game, that showed a really simple movement that would have you turn that shot into this shot with such a simple swing change? We can see there, very different path from the inside, low point nicely ahead, club face closed, and a beautiful little draw. So that's right, one simple little change to go from over the top, out to in, however you describe it, just that horrible weak fade. So I know what you're thinking. What is this magic move? Well, it's what Hogan spoke about with that right elbow. So when you see most golfers, particularly from down the line, that swing from out to in, they'll generally make a decent move on the way back. But as the club goes this way, we can see that trail arm gets much more on top, and down into impact, we can see that that elbow would be behind the trail hip. So what Hogan spoke about is trying to feel that that right elbow gets close to that right hip on the downswing, and then you can turn out the way. I know what you're thinking. It's almost like, okay, that seems quite obvious. And believe it or not, a lot of you will already make this movement when you do something else. So if I were to take a ball and actually just throw it underarm, if you actually watch my movement, you'll see that the elbow goes down towards the hip. As it gets towards that right hip, then my body turns out the way and it's gone. But what you might be thinking is, well, that's all well and good, but I'm not throwing a ball. I've got this stupid golf club in my hand. So if I said to you, right, what I would like you to try is I want you to feel like you lift the club up in front of you. So hands below your sternum, club head at around shoulder height. Swing back and then feel like you turn your body out the way. You'll notice how the first thing that happens is that elbow moves down towards your trail hip. Now, obviously when that happens, we would see a slight shallowing of the club, which if we go golf swing, we're not going to see this movement, we're going to see this movement. And I think the baseball swing is a fantastic way of getting that trail elbow to make that little magic move on the way down. So I would always do a little practice swing at shoulder height, then just tilt forward very slightly, and really feel that that right elbow for me gets close to that hip, then I can turn out the way and then have the swing down to the ground. It feels good. And not only does it feel that the club's shallowing, it feels nice and powerful as well. So then obviously the aim is to, can we put it in there with the golf ball? So I'm going to set up, really focus from the top, getting that right elbow down next to my hip, then I can turn out the way. Felt solid. And we can see there on TrackMan a little draw. So I'm a low point ahead of the golf ball. The club actually moving down 6 degrees from the inside, and the club face just under 2 degrees closed. 63 feet of curve to the left and 175 yards carry. Obviously, I'm not promising you'll do that first go, but it's such an important movement, not just from how the arms move, but it also creates something really important in the downswing, is it creates a bit of side bend. So it gets the body into a really good position halfway down, where as you're rotating out the way, you can now see some shaft lean, low point ahead, and it really does make such a big difference. And when you speak to a lot of golfers, they've spent maybe their whole lives trying not to kind of make that movement. They've always seen the ball curving from left to right, massively out to in at 16.2 degrees and almost 15 degrees open. And most importantly, over 30 yards difference in distance. And yet that felt like there was a lot of effort in that swing to only move the ball 140 yards. So if you need to have that feel, kind of skimming a stone or throwing a ball, then get to shoulder height. And it's amazing how up here, so many golfers do this great, but then that emphasis on the golf ball, really focus on getting that elbow down towards the hip. It'll be a little different for everybody as to how much they can do it, depending on how good your right shoulder is. But if you can get there, set up, and get that elbow moving better in the downswing, again, we can see low point ahead, from the inside, club face nicely closed, exactly the same amount of shape, and pretty much the same carry. Now, it's great nowadays that I've got something like TrackMan that gives me such brilliant feedback. But what you tend to see with all the greats of the game over the years, even without this level of feedback, they managed to work out how to make the ball go where they wanted. And it was different thoughts, different feelings. But like I said, this book was written in 1957. And nearly everything Hogan talks about now is still very, very relevant in the modern golf game. In fact, with some of the modern players, you're seeing some real exaggerated movements. But you might have been thinking about how do I shallow the club, and you might have been focused on the wrist. But as soon as that trail arm moves out and that elbow's up, there's only one place that club's working, out to in. So have some practice swings. Like I said, first of all, shoulder height. Felt great. Down to knee height, and I'm just changing spine angle. Feels good. And then obviously the proof in the pudding, can I do it when the golf ball's there? And I know what you're thinking, maybe this needs to be my swing thought, because those are some seriously good golf shots in play, 4 inches ahead, 4 degrees from the inside, just over a degree closed, and again, distance control and accuracy absolutely bang on. So on a serious note, if you are someone who's always sliced the golf ball, yes, it's a case of having that club face control there. But when you manage to get that trail elbow in, it's amazing how much better club face is. And from there, once that club's behind you, as you turn out the way, that gets the club back online. And then you can almost swing just as quickly as you want. The hands aren't going to be too active, and it is good. If anything, as you get confident with that, you actually feel that you can swing quicker and quicker and actually just hit the ball better and better with more control, more distance. And again, you can see those numbers hardly changing, just distance going up. So even though the book was written in 1957, you can see Ben Hogan's magic elbow move is something that you need in your golf game if you've always sliced the ball.